Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit on the tanker through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond.
So there I was, climbing down the ladder of my TA-4J Skyhawk in Key West, Florida. I had just been told I was a qual on the boat. And I'm climbing down the ladder, and the beach dead instructor walks out to me and says, "Nasty, you're a disqual."
Oh.
What?
Oh, man. Oh,
Okay.
that hurts to think about it.
Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. Repeat here, coming to you from New Hampshire. You're listening to So There I Was. Where's my co-host?
I am lucky enough to be at home, Kearney, Missouri, and it is our distinct pleasure to have with us Nasty from episode 30.
38, 39,
38.
17, and 18. It's
Making
been way too long. Thrilled to
making a
have you
reenact.
back, Nasty.
Yeah, welcome, Nasty.
Well, I actually thought you guys just didn't like me, So we 38
Not
to 39.
true.
I must have said, too many F-bombs on the show or something.
No,
We're never
not
having
at all.
him back again. And then,
No fucking
here we are at like 202. I don't know what we're at, but good
202.
job, guys.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The show kind of took off, and we're having fun doing it.
Good job. Lots
So-
of water under the keels for all of us.
Right? I hate to say it, but I know exactly your feeling. My last sortie in the training command was my first unsat. They let me do all my traps, head back to shore, only to find out you went unk. Wait, what? It's like, you kidding me? You can't do that. Why'd you let me trap all those times if I was unsafe?
What?
Yeah.
Yep. Identical
Yeah.
experience. Although I had the extra added attraction of being told, hey, 10 whatever you are on the cat. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Paddles. You're a qual. They actually said it on the radio.
Wow.
Oh yeah. We'll talk
That's-
about that maybe later on. When you
Okay.
want to. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was back in the day, that was kind of an unwritten rule. You didn't find out until you got back, type thing, right?
Yeah,
So you didn't do something stupid along the way.
Well, I guess when we had it, we were all looking. Everybody was looking for that, that key radio call from Paddles, right? So you could fly home. And when you didn't hear anything, and maybe they did, because because I did aileron rolls all the way back. I was like, woo, woo, and then got crushed when I climbed out of the airplane. So I'm like, no, you're lying.
All right.
Was that the Lex by chance?
It was the Lex. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lex, love it.
Yeah, man.
Lex. Yep.
The small.
Well,
deck.
we passed a little time since the last time we talked, but there was so many things I know left banging around inside the noggin of yours that we can reattack today.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Absolutely.
Actually,
So-
I think I saw some notes somewhere.
Yeah, well, I wanted to just start off. We'll go in this direction, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. I sent you some of it I'd like to chat about. But First thing I wanted to do is tie your hands behind your back and ask you a question and forbid a certain answer. So I want your best day in the Navy and your worst day in the Navy, and it can't be taking and relinquishing command of the Nimitz. So
Yeah. Okay. So the best day, since you haven't tied my hands on the first part, the best day in the Navy was taking command of Nimitz 2 weeks before deployment. And I'll describe later on why that was the best day, because it's tied to the worst day as well. And there's two of them. And so the worst day was that day climbing out of the and I have several worst days, by the way. We talk about the book too and all that kind of stuff, bunch of failures in my career, but the worst day up until that time, and I know everybody has like worst days. What was your last worst day? So that one sticks way out because I went to the Naval Academy just to fly, and I got a big spark when I was in 8th grade. I saw the midshipmen march on at a football game, and I said, that's what I want to do. And I drove through that process to the Naval Academy, through the Naval Academy to flight school, got into flight school, got jets. I'm down in jets. I go to the boat. Okay, I'm going to go here because all I want to do is fly Tomcats. And the path is, and I'm running hard. And I had not failed yet.
Yeah.
And I was, going out there. And the only thing Paddles said to me when I was in that A4 on Lex was, hey, you're getting fast in close, like you're pushing the nose over to land, right? Don't do that anymore. I said, okay, yeah, all right, I won't do that anymore. So I'm trying hard. They said nothing else, and I trapped 6 times. And like I said in the intro there, I got over on the side and sideline and stuff. Maybe I don't know, maybe even got a little gas or something. And 104 paddles. Yes, sir. Go ahead. You're a qual. Good job. Woohoo! Bang, 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 like you do, right? Everybody's going like this in the cockpits. You can see them all going crazy. And it's, being an LSO in the RAG, that was always such a cool thing to be able to tell people, that they were a qual, right? You could hear it. Yeah. And so I got on the catapult and raced off, going back to NAS Key West and just aileron rolling the whole time. It's a gorgeous day. Whip into the brake. It's something well over what you're allowed to. And it broke, and my mighty, training Skyhawk landed, rolled out, flared, did the aero braking down the runway like a badass, taxied in. Ladder comes over. I climb down, and no kidding, the guy, the Beachstead instructor comes out, and he says, hey, Manazer, you're a disqual. And I said, no. They told me I'm a qual. Yeah, they called back and said you're a disqual. And I went from euphoria to just about collapsing at the bottom of the ladder.
Of course.
And what they had done, Paddles out there, and I've hated the both of them for decades. They told me that, and then they recalculated the grade average and noticed that the grades they gave me throughout had resulted in a below average. And so instead of hey, we just told him he's a qual, he's safe enough, let's send him to the Tomcat RAG or whatever it is, then they just called back and said, sorry, he's a disqual. Instead, and I was an LSO for 8 years. I know how that works. And you can just, hey, let's just make it a qual, and we'll just, debrief the shit out of them, and kind of thing. But no, they didn't. And so, that was the first failure I got in that whole path.
Wow. Yeah, talk about, you probably feel like you got kicked right in the junk. Literally.
Hard.
Why don't you just say, could you just kick me in the jibbies instead, and call it a qual?
Well, pretty close. And the guy was kind of known to be a jokester, the instructor was. And I thought, you're joking, you're joking. And he's like, no, they're serious. They call back. And so, of course, I think I trapped on the middle of the det. So there's like a couple of days left in the det, and I get to get on the C9 to fly home to Kingsville, right where Kelly was. Yeah. So I'm walking around, Key West like a dog with his nuts cut off. It's like I was devastated, cried, just the whole thing, But then I got out of sync with the guys in my class, and I ended up doing ACM by myself. When I got to the 2v1, my wingman in 2v1 in Kingsville was one Lieutenant Commander John Bug Roach.
Oh yeah,
he was ops. He was base ops down in Kingsville. Believe it or not, he's my wingman for the 2v1 section of ACM. That's where I met Bug. So, and I've had several of those those worst days. I'll just give you guys this one, and I won't blabber on for so long. The next one was, I didn't select for an aircraft carrier. I didn't select for ultimately Nimitz. I didn't select for an aircraft carrier until the last look. And so the middle look, when I was supposed to be, in the zone, they didn't select me. And Jim Zorban was my boss, Air Pac, and he was the president of the board. So I had another, oh my God, day, because since that disqual in A4s, I didn't fail, and I have gotten all the way through, to when it was time for carrier command. So, and then it worked out, a year later. And so we talk about.
I remember reading that in your book.
Yeah, in the book,
that you were devastated by that, and it turned out to be a good thing because you didn't spend all the time in dry dock. You actually got to go.
That's it. That's right. And had I been selected, just like you said, I would have ended up in a carrier that didn't operate. Nimitz was awesome, best job in the galaxy, and it was Nimitz, and we deployed, and that wouldn't have happened unless I didn't get selected the year before. And so this theme of looking at the backside of a failure and realizing that it's actually something good for you is something that it hurts, but it's a leadership thing. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Hey, so hey, let me ask a quick sidebar because I was thinking about this. If you would have qualled that day, would you have not been paired up with Bug Roach?
Correct.
So
correct.
It was supposed to happen that way.
Correct. Yeah. And that's what I tell people, and it's in the book that way, and it's devastating, and it was just supposed to be that way. Yeah. And I believe that, by the way, whether you believe in God or you believe in fate, but there's predestination on our paths, and you make your own luck. And the decisions you make, the things that happen to you, they are for a reason. I firmly believe that. My life has been like that. It's amazing. And I wouldn't have met Bug, and then all of that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I believe it. So, thinking of the leadership thing, I got one other question I kind of tie into, and I know Fig gets this more than I ever did because he's a passenger guy and I was cargo, but people always wondering about what's it like to have all that responsibility with all those people behind you. How did your look at leadership change, whether you were leading a section or you were the CAG, an entire air group? Yeah. Did you look at it any differently? Did it, as far as your responsibility, or? Yeah,
and I'll remind your listenership, I was never a CAG. I was the CEO of a carrier, a CEO of a ship before that. But I've thought about this, and so So when when you grow up and you're a pilot, let me stop for a minute. That the passenger thing is interesting to me, and here's why. And this goes in with, I'm learning how to fly my fighter. I am working my way through the F-14 ladder to be a skipper, and I go to Newport in pre-skipper school, and in that class there are the prospective commanding officers for ships, submarines, and aircraft squadrons, right?
Okay, sure.
And I meet a guy named Bill French, who ultimately is going to command the USS Salt Lake City submarine. And he's in my class, awesome guy, knew him all the way through since then, all the way to he retired as a 3-star. And he invited me and Kelly, my wife Kelly, to his change of command on the USS Salt Lake City at Point Loma, San Diego. Cool. And so we go down there, and I was the XO of VF-31 at the time. So Kelly and I attended. We're in the audience, and two things happened. The first one, I'll tell you one thing that's happened is pretty funny. We go to walk aboard the ship to tour the sub, and I had just put on commander, and so as we get to the ladder there, ding, 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 Commander, United States Navy arriving, because it's the same rank as the captain. And I'm looking around going, whoa, who do I salute? Well, it's me. It's like, oh, shit. Oh, that's me. Oh, yeah. Hey, thanks. Permission to come aboard. So, yes, sir, come on aboard. And so anyway, what I thought right then was, oh, my God, I'm responsible for my airplane and one guy in the back seat. Yeah. The captain of the Salt Lake City is responsible for about 300 other people. And when he makes a decision to dive that boat or attack somebody or go fight, he's taking the entire crew with him. And at that time, it just blew my mind. The difference in responsibility between, where I was and commanding my squadron, VF-31, a year and a half later, I'm sending people out to do that. And they are the kind of I'm not taking them myself. And so when I did become a ship CO, the level of responsibility was different for me. Yeah. And I thought about all those other souls that were depending on me to do the right thing, safety wise. But I when in aviation, and I'll tell you this, particularly to aviation. So as a squadron CO, so we grew up as a pilot, a section leader, and then a mission commander, and you kept your 4 airplanes safe, doing the right thing. So you hope you didn't, don't F it up, right? That was the kind of the line, right?
The
don't
pilot's
F it
prayer.
Up. The pilot's prayer, yeah. Dear Lord, please don't let me F this up. And then when you become a strike commander, both at Fallon and then in real life, and you're leading somebody into bad guy country, or a big strike in a bad guy country, you're hoping execution goes right. So you want everybody to do the right thing. And so you're in the air and you're looking at execution. Standing on the ship as the ship's CO, and then as a strike group commander. And the thing as a strike group commander that I mess with all the time was, one, I hope execution goes right, but the biggest thing was rules of engagement. And when I was strike group commander on Dwight D. Eisenhower, we were sending our air wing up into Afghanistan. And at the time, 2012, 2013, the rules of engagement was changing weekly. I'm not exaggerating. Weekly.
Yeah.
And so when pilots would take off, they bomb the wrong building and kill, a bunch of civilians, and we're being held to account and standing up in front of somebody, right? And that, it was deadly serious. It was a big, big, big deal. In fact, even with troops in contact at TIC, even with the American on the ground screaming at you on the radio, if you could not make sure that bomb was going to land in the right place to kill bad guys, you were not allowed to drop. And we had to drive it home, and even guys they watched a couple dudes in place an IED, then they drive away in a motorbike and they're trying to get permission to kill the guys from, somewhere, 2-3 countries away.
Right.
Yeah. And then that little motorbike disappears into a village or a market or a building. You can't hit him. I saw him go into the building and he hasn't come out. He's in the building. I can't drop the building because of the civilian. So at that level now, it became rules of engagement. And when those went well, and even if we didn't kill very many bad guys, it was that level of decision making to make sure we did the right thing, underneath my leadership.
Yeah. Wow. That's I can only imagine it's different than the pilot who just goes, well, if all the people in the back are going to be just fine as long as I'm fine. It's different because you're making decisions that other people then have to carry out. So yeah.
Yeah, but even then, the decisions that you make, you double check and triple check and checking with a guy to your left or right in the front of that airplane, because if all of us have been in a tactical airplane going, oh shit, I just did something. Well, you can't do an oh shit when you got 300 people behind you, right?
No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, and that's why you count on the guy sitting next to you to speak up. Hey, you're about to do something stupid there. You want?
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is, driving Nimitz was always, this is interesting because driving Nimitz was always very interesting to me because it is relative motion, just like an airplane. You guys could stand on the bridge of a ship and you're running along and you could look out the front. You could tell what you needed to do. Turn, slow down, speed up. That guy's a threat. That guy's a threat. Yeah. It's momentum. That is the problem. It's the same thing going from a fighter to a big airplane. It's momentum, right?
Energy management, man.
It is energy management. Yeah, and it's different, right? And it's so your decision-making cycle, you're in a fighter moving 5 miles a minute on average. You're thinking like bam, 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 bam. You're in something bigger and you can't afford to think like that, unless it's actually, no shit crisis like I got to, avoid the ground here or a rock or something.
Yeah. Although I do remember you telling the story. It was in Southeast Asia, and I think it was at night, and you were at pretty narrow straits, and you had another boat pull in front of you or something. And
yeah. Almost ran the ship into a buoy because I was trying to get around a little boat, and I missed the buoy by like 50 yards with the admiral standing next to me. Yep.
What could go wrong?
Well, since we talked the last time, I sailed a 46-foot catamaran from Tampa to Panama, basically, last summer with a buddy who bought it. And it was in the middle of the night, and we were in a shipping lane. These tankers are coming, and we got radar. Well, it was my turn for the watch, and I came up, and it was darker on the inside of a cat. And the guy that I was relieving was like, all right, I'm out. I go, hey, is anything I need? No, you're good. I'm out. Anyway, I turned the radar on because it wasn't on. Yeah, and there was something at 12 o'clock in like 5 miles, which I couldn't see because it was pitch black. Well, it was a tanker, right? Oh. And it was coming pretty much right as. I had plenty of time to get out of the way, but if I didn't, they're running us over. because
Yeah.
Nasty already you don't stop those things on a dime, and you don't turn them on a dime. So it was like, come on, dude.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes those commercial ships, that the third mate's up there, and they put it on, ship autopilot. The thing's just driving.
Yeah, they would have run us over and not even known it.
Yeah.
What's that white paint scrape on the bow from?
Yeah,
yeah, it would have woke him up. When he heard a scraping sound. What was that? I don't know.
All right. I don't know. Gone back to sleep. You guys
engines are still running. Everything's good. All right, we're good.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, all right. So let's see.
What else you been up to? You got a new job since last we chatted?
Yeah. So I'll remind your listenership. So after I retired from the Navy in July of 2017, I went to work for the Boeing company, and I was government relations first. I was connecting the Navy and Boeing, and on all things across the interface there, and then I was in business development and strategy the last couple of years. When you guys and I talked, I was running business development and strategy for the big airplanes, the commercial derivative airplanes that we build military, like P-8s, P-8s or sure. The tanker, 767 tanker, we call it KC-46.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I was doing that, and I got, about right around tailhook of 24, I got introduced to a guy named Chris Power, who is the CEO of Hadrian Automation. And Hadrian Automation is revitalizing the national security industrial base to build aerospace and defense products, as we have offshored all of our manufacturing capability. And so, we need to do that so we can, kind of beat China, right? And so I got introduced to him and his interesting company. And there was only a couple of times when I was in Boeing where I entertained somebody like a headhunter saying, hey, you should look at this thing. There's only a couple, sure. And this was one of them. And I started talking to Chris, and I talked to him from about August of 24 all the way until the Thanksgiving weekend. Came out and visited the factory I just showed you guys on my camera. And basically, he brought me on to build the federal business. And I used to stand on stage when I was the OpNev N9, the last job in my Navy career. And I'd stand on stage and tell big audiences, if we don't do something different and go faster, we're going to get beat by China. And I don't want to go to war to have that happen. Yeah. And so I've been trying to haul on the needle to make things better, first as the N9, then in Boeing for 8 years, and then, now in this startup. And Chris's mission and what he's trying to do really resonated with me. So I jumped from Boeing at the very end of 2025 during the Christmas holiday period and started with Hadrian in the first week of January 2025. And so I've been here for about 14 months, and I am bringing the Hadrian automation capability to the federal space. So we partner with either the Military Services Department of War or the U.S. Navy or the U.S. Army right now and build highly automated AI configured factories to build aerospace and defense parts. We have proprietary software that underpins the factory. The factory runs like an organism, and we can automate 60 to 90% of the labor hours required to make a component, which allows us to train a previously untrained technician in 30 days how to run the system. And so it's a combination of humans and robots building, parts. And so because our machines run 24/7 lights out, second shift goes home at 19:30 at night. Nobody's here over at night. Nobody's here on the weekends. The machines are keeping themselves busy the whole time. We can build parts 10 times faster than a legacy production line can. And so we're growing like crazy. It is now out in the wild. There's a big, if you see it, there's we have a factory here in Torrance, which is where I am, 100,000 square feet of machines. We have a factory in Mesa, Arizona, which is 3 times this size, just opened in December of last year. It took us only 5 months to build that factory. And we're going to cut the ribbon next week on a 2 million square foot factory down in the Southeast. Wow. And that's going to build parts. So we're just, and the system that operates the factory is the same system, you just lift and shift. We can automate any manufacturing technique. So it's kind of cool. So I run around trying to, change people's minds about automation and the way that humans and machines interact to do manufacturing.
So can I ask a silly question?
Yeah.
Okay. Just give me an example. What kind of parts are we talking about?
Yeah.
Can you?
Like, yeah. So, depends on the technique, but right now with machining, let's say a flange that goes in a spaceship, or a heat exchanger, complex heat exchanger part, or half of a pump, the interface that holds a small satellite onto a big satellite, it's machined parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Stuff
specific.
like that. So,
Very.
yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever so the thing that we're doing is bringing automated capability to somebody whose schedule is gated because they can't build fast enough. So whatever their bill of materials is, whatever the tech data package is, we can ingest that into our software. Mechanical engineer kind of shifts that part to a digital 3D design to then program the machines. And it can be any part. We can make the wings behind a repeat. We can make the microphone or the shell or whatever. We just automate the production capability or the manufacturing capability to build that part.
Well, that's pretty badass.
It actually sounds pretty
cool.
Genius too. And you talked about it, touched on it briefly, but essentially, you don't want to have to be going, "Hey, China, can you send us more parts for our missiles so we can shoot them at you?"
Exactly the point, man. That's it. And then this whole thing about getting off, assured sources of supply and onshore manufacturing. Yeah. We are right. So our mission is we are reindustrializing America. We are right in the center molecule of the X-ring to what the administration is doing right now. So we have a lot of support from the administration and the EOs and all those things that are out there. And I signed on with Chris in Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving at 24 started the first week. So 3 weeks before inauguration. And then inauguration happens, and oh my God, I told him, you better start building factories now. You better go, because we're on a tsunami tidal wave on a surfboard, paddling like crazy to catch up with where they're going, right? So we're right in the middle of all of that.
Well, the other thing you said was 5 months to build a factory. I almost fell out of my chair.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. That's
you can't build a single family home in 5 months.
Dirt floor, existing building, got power, got water, whatever. Yeah. Big ass warehouse, 270,000 square feet in Mesa, Arizona. We're kind of near the Boeing site out there where they build helicopters. Dirt floor, permits the next day, start laying cement. July of 25, and we are producing parts in December. Yeah, 5.5 months.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's impressive.
Because we know what we do is when we go and look at what kind of parts we're gonna make in that factory, we know what machines to buy. There's lead time away. If it's a very, very, very complex machine, that's the longest lead time. But we understand what machines we're going to buy. We already have the software that underpins the operations of the factory. We just lift and shift. So we lay down the machines, and then boom, we're starting to build. So it's like you've already got the biggest pieces already done, and then you just build a factory.
That's incredible. And how many? I imagine all of them. How many defense contractors are you working with?
We got parts in the factories here from Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon as the big primes, Northrop Grumman, and then the tier ones and tier twos and tier threes below that supply those big programs like Leonardo, DRS, and Moog, and people like that. But it's across the board, and we're getting people are knocking on the door left and right because they see the benefit here. What I try to do, me personally, is we can build parts, so we do manufacturing as a service, and we also do a factory as a service. Like we build a factory. So I run around and try to convince people to build a factory next to or in the place that they want to do parallel production. We'll start to shift over the stuff that they do on a legacy line that they're not on cost or schedule, and we can help them accelerate. So we partner. And so you'll hear some of the neo primes out there talk about how they're going to disrupt the major primes and do better, and the government is yelling at companies like Raytheon for not going fast enough and not spending enough money. We'll partner with anybody to do manufacturing. We're not trying to disrupt anybody. We're just trying to make the manufacturing better.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, fantastic. So has it allowed you? It's probably taken away from your time your ability to write your book. Or you got another book?
Well, we had another book. We launched I don't know, maybe. we're really, really hammering away at, getting those leadership lessons out there, the things that I believe in my heart and soul about how to lead effectively, and working on the newsletters and speaking to people and stuff like that. There's another book or a couple books in there. The newsletters are very successful. We launch one a week. I love them. The one this week's about inclusion and morale. When I took over VF31, why is morale important? And the three of us know why that is. Some people don't understand that. And
beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah. I have that shirt, by the way. Yeah. And so pushing on that real hard. And my partner Ben Carroll and I just released, it's on Amazon as well, a youth fiction book about leadership. It's called Call Me Brave, and it's the rise of the vanguards, because it's going to be a series, and it's a great story. It's just a great story. And we talk about these 5 kids who are different personalities, and they learn how to lead. And the theme of this particular one is bullying, reacting and responding to bullying. And it's middle school to high school, that kind of transition. They're 8th grade, about their, talking about, how kids learn to lead and how to apply, their personalities and make a difference. So that one's out there, so Lead to Win continues to do good, and his stories are good. And even here at Adrian's like, hey, Nasty, look what I just got. And it's funny to them because, I'm an anachronism here. I'm an old man, old fighter pilot, old Navy guy. And, they're all, I'm the oldest guy here by at least 25 years.
Oh my God.
It's a startup. It's a startup, so.
Yeah. And they're all computer nerds.
They're smart as hell, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we can train a technician to operate the machinery and, down there, zero experience on the factory floor in 30 days, like a Home Depot forklift operator or a dive instructor, something like that. But the people that build a system, huge brains. Amazing to listen to them talk. Yeah.
There's did you put? I think Sticks put your book up there.
Sticks put cover your book up. I have enjoyed reading that and have referred it to many folks, and I do get your newsletter every week. So
thank you.
Absolutely, go get that, folks. All right. Well, what I'd like to do is take just a minute to go and thank our sponsor, DC Artworks, but I would also like after that, Sticks is going to come in. He's going to talk about. There was a very sad and unfortunate event this week. The Coast Guard lost their very first rescue swimmer in the midst of a rescue that was sole, as opposed to the entire crew going down or something like that. So he's going to chat a little about that and how you might be able to help out. Then I want to come back and talk about some of Manazer's maxims. So there I was, staring at a wall that should have been impressive, but it wasn't. And then DCArtworks.net fixed that problem for me. If you've ever looked at your office, hangar, bar, squadron space, or the blank wall behind your Zoom camera and thought this needs something with authority, stop what you're doing right now and go to DCArtworks.net. Our newest sponsor is American-made, veteran-owned, and run by a gent named Derek Combs, who specializes in turning steel into statements. Not decor, not wall clutter, statements. Every piece starts off being precision laser cut, hardened steel, heavy duty, but lightweight, and then gets hand finished by Derek or one of his team. No flimsy metal, no bending, no mass-produced sameness. In fact, no two pieces are identical. If you like knowing the thing on your wall isn't hanging in 5,000 other homes or offices, then this is your guy. And here's the part that matters. 95% of what DC Artworks produces is custom. The design library on DCArtworks.net is updated constantly, but that's just the launch point. The squadron logos, call signs, aviation themes, business branding, one-off gifts, big statement pieces, all can be yours. Case in point, I have a set of naval aviator wings almost 2 feet across, and they're exquisite. People don't glance at them. They stop. They ask questions. That's what Derek builds. DC Artworks also specializes in metal art fabrication, powder coating, and multi-material engraving, meaning depth, texture, and color photographs don't do them justice. He's a military GPC vendor, one of the lowest priced vendors in the business, with bulk and repeat discounts available. And for our listeners, this part is permanent. Use code STIW at dcartworks.net and get 20% off every order forever, even if another discount is already running. That's special. Most people won't do that. STIW is the code, 20% off anything you order from dcartworks.net. We're talking aviation-specific projects here, pilot wings, airline wings, all of it. But the real move is this. Go to dcartworks.net right now, browse, then contact Derek and commission something that's yours. Because when you see what's possible, your wall has already made the decision for you. And thanks to dcartworks.net for sponsoring this episode. Go ahead, Sticks.
So There I Was team recognizes and stands with the Coast Guard as we mourn the passing and honor the courage of aviation survival technician Tyler Yeagers. On 27 February 2026, AST-2 Yeagers was seriously injured while engaged in a medevac mission off the coast of Oregon with an MH-60 out of Air Station Astoria. He succumbed to those injuries on 5 March 2026. Prior to his passing, he was meritoriously advanced to the rank of AST-2, or AST, Aviation Survival Technician Second Class, for his relentless drive and qualifications, the mentorship that he consistently provides to swimmer candidates, and his exceptional performance across all operational missions of the Coast Guard. Additionally, the Commandant of the Coast Guard awarded him the Distinguished Flying Cross, one of our nation's highest awards for heroism in aerial flight. Through his selfless service, sacrifice, and devotion to duty, AST-2 Yeagers exemplified the highest ideals of the United States Coast Guard, the finest legacies of the Coast Guard service, and the sacred oath of the aviation rescue swimmer community, so others may live.
All right. And I don't see one up now. Oh, there it is.
We've got it there. And also the QR code that I've got up there will take you to that website.
Bitly.
We'll get it on the Facebook page as well. So
okay, and I'll put that QR code on our website as well for this week. So, all right.
Hey, Sticks, 1087 is his swimmer number.
That's his rescue swimmer number. So they each rescue swimmer as they graduate are awarded a number or a designated number, just like naval aviators are. And so he was 1087. This also marks the first operational loss of a Coast Guard rescue swimmer during deployment. So, and what I will point out is that the rescue swimmer program started in 1980. So almost 50 years without the single loss of a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. And to say that this has been rough on the community is an understatement. So, my heart goes out to the air station out at Astoria. We're also an exceptionally small community. The Coast Guard's smaller than the New York City Police Department. The aviation community is even smaller than that. So please, if you have the time, take a moment, think about the families involved. And I also just going to take one quick moment to point out something that I think exemplifies the leadership that the Coast Guard does. And that's prior to him passing, he was advanced from AST-3 to AST-2. And that's a huge deal because that actually changes a little bit of what he's going to get in terms of benefits and things like that for his family. In addition, taking the moment to recognize him with the DFC. And this is something that the Coast Guard just does exceptionally well. And, I've seen it happen, unfortunately, too many times. But anyways, I just wanted to take a minute to recognize that. I appreciate you hearing me out.
Well, thanks, Dix. Do you know any details, like what the rescue was? And
So it was a medevac mission for a stroke victim, from what I understand. It occurred during the deployment of trying to get the swimmer on board the boat. There's still an investigation going on. There'll be I'm sure some details that will come out right now. We're just trying to get him laid to rest and get the air station back on its feet, I'm sure. Yeah. So that what would have happened was it would have occurred after, they would have done rescue check part 2, which would have included a load check of the swimmer, then booming him out with the flight mech, then conning the aircraft commander to get or the pilot in command, or at the controls, I should say, to get the swimmer on the boat. So it could have been, we don't know. It's all speculation at that. We just know that he was outside of the helicopter being deployed to the boat, and things went sideways.
Okay.
So,
well, thanks for that.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you.
So, but thanks for your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a downer. Crap. I hate that news. That's terrible.
No,
So,
it's never good. It's never easy to take. And it's just a reminder that, there's people out there 24/7 doing the shit that nobody else wants to do or can't do.
right. And exactly right. And as Sticks and I were talking earlier, those guys just make it look easy too. Drop them down on the hook, pull them up on the hook, like it's no big deal.
It's no big deal.
Yeah,
Holy
just do it.
shit, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's
Just like landing on an aircraft carrier. They do it every day. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Is that
Hey,
right,
look,
Nasty?
There's
It's
no
big
crosswind.
deal,
You
right?
never have to flare. Four wires.
What's
How
the
hard
big
can
deal?
it be?
There's 4 wires for crying out loud.
Oh man. Speaking of
Yeah,
which,
it's good, because George Will made that famous statement right after the Challenger mishap, which just occurred, in 1986, like this week or something, and he made
4
that
years
comment.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he made that comment about out there right now, day and night, men and women are landing high performance aircraft on aircraft carriers, and you never hear about it because we're highly trained, make it look easy. And so now you go to rescue swimmer that you never hear about it because, well, look, they do that thing, and it doesn't speak to the level of training and expertise that goes in behind something like that. And it's impressive too. I one of the leadership things that I really value a lot, it's foundational, is you value people and you make them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. It is foundational. You value everybody. What the actions of the Coast Guard are doing shows that they value AST2 and that thereby the entire community, right? And they make it so that people feel proud of what they do, obviously devastated at the loss, but doing those sorts of things mean that they value that guy, God bless his family, God rest him, and thereby everybody else that's associated with it, because people in a group like that, very close knit, they see that value. It's a set of values that they connect to, and that it's a key leadership tenet that I believe in my soul, is if you do that anywhere, it could be here at Hadrian, it could be in the U.S. Navy, the Coast Guard, the crew that you're with, or anywhere, military or civilian, if you value every single person and you make everybody feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, you can do anything. High performance team.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. For sure.
Well said.
Well said.
We touched on it briefly earlier, and so there's aside from learn how to lead to win. Learn how to lead to win. Let's try and say it right. You've also got the Manazir Maxims. You can find these books on MikeManazir.com. That's Mike, MAN as in November, AZIR.com. And your other book is the Manazir Maxims. Well, one of many. You've got several. Can you chat about the Maxims and how you came to that? And
yeah, so thanks for asking, by the way. Yeah. There's a set of rules that I have. There's about 10 of them, and it's transparency, humility, and I can't list them all out. Authenticity is huge, vulnerability, consistency. When I wrote Learn How to Lead to Win, it was designed as if you and I are sitting across the bar from each other, and Repeat goes, "Hey, Nasty, tell me a leadership lesson story," and boom, I tell you, right? So we're drinking, and the whole book is designed that way. And you get to the end of the 33 stories that are in there, each one tied to a leadership lesson, and like, okay, so here's the things, and the way I envisioned it is, hey, we're on a flight or something, we land, we taxi in. You did a great job in the front seat. I'm in the back seat instructing. I hand you an envelope with 10 rules in it. Here, do these things. And in the back and Learn How to Lead to Win, they're in there and they're kind of explained a little bit, and they're kind of throughout the book. We had an idea that we make each maxim into a chapter in a new book. So the Manazir Maxims takes each of those 10 rules and it it tells a story about each of those, explains them, and then does a like a reflection on the leadership lesson. That's what that is. And they are the things that I believe, that you be a good person, and this is what you do to make sure everybody feels like you value them as their boss, and you're higher in the food chain than they are, and they're part of something bigger than themselves. It's the tactical things you can do. That's the way the book's written.
Okay. Awesome.
And I firmly believe, that if you are first of all authentic, if you're an authentic leader, and you represent yourself to them every single day the same way. If you care about them, you exercise empathy, you're curious about them, you're transparent about what you know and what you don't know, and you're vulnerable about your failures, people will follow you. They'll like being around you. It's those kinds of things.
So I'm trying to think of what's the thing, it's the old joke. Once you've got sincerity faked, don't do that. Is that what you're saying? Don't do that.
Don't do that.
So,
well, yeah. and it should go without saying, but I got to say it. If you're not authentic leader, they'll smell right. Your people will smell right through that.
Yeah. Talk about it all the time. The things that we talk, when I talk about tactically what to do for people, we also talk about you can't fake it. Well, right. you said it exactly right, Fig. You can't fake it. No. People will sense that, and that's way worse than not even trying. I mean, not being authentic. It's way worse.
That's spot
because,
on.
They'll push away. And Simon Sinek talks about psychological safety, and people stop bringing stuff up, and they won't talk to you, and they won't bring bad. Everything will just come apart if you're not an authentic leader. That's my belief.
We've all served around those guys.
Boy, have we.
Too many times underneath them, but
learn as much from bad leaders, or maybe more.
Oh my gosh,
good leaders.
Right. And that's spot on. It's what when you have a bad skipper in your in the squadron, the JO Corps gets really good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the skipper's not taking care of you.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
I would say the same was true at the airline too. I was, as a new guy at the airline, I was a flight engineer for 3 years on the DC-10, and getting to sit there and watch in the smart seat, as we called it, because you watched everything going on.
Oh yeah, you're 3 feet behind everybody else. Your IQ's double.
You can see all the mistakes happening, and you're going, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Okay. But it was also a great opportunity to watch guys and learn how to be a good captain and learn how not to be a bad captain. So
there you go. Yep.
Hey, I got a quick question, and it's not about anything we've been talking about. Is that okay to go out of left field?
Yeah, sure.
So you were a RAG instructor, right? You were an LSO in the RAG. So I recently found out. I don't know, recently. I can't remember what I did last week, but. They're not going to the boat in the training command.
Yeah, in the orange and white airplanes. That's right.
And they're just going to let them do it. Hey, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's working. The old guy in me says, no, you got to go in an orange and white airplane before you try to go in the gray airplane. But I also reflect on the fact that we didn't go at night until the gray airplane. Right. And you kind of learn how to land. So the idea is, how do you learn how to land on the boat and then go do it? And they have determined that, the pilot landing modes, the PLM or precision landing mode, the PLM stuff, the HUDs and the symbology, the way they are, they kind of allow learning how to, not flare in the training command and then going to the boat actually in the RAG. And it's working so far. Most of the disquals in the RAG, and there are some, are for pattern work and things like that. They're not for actual meatball line of angle attack.
Okay.
So apparently it's working. And now the thing that is controversial is the Navy is starting to move when they're buying a new trainer to replace the T-45. None of the current designs, Boeing has one called the T-7 that the Air Force is buying already. None of the current designs can withstand the 500, 700 foot per minute rate of descent required of an FCOP, right? We're just that landing without flare.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to figure out, how do you train a kid how to land that way and not flare all the time, so that when he gets to the boat, he doesn't have muscle memory of pulling back on the stick right prior to landing. Yeah. That's the controversial part, because they're talking about not even doing FCLPs, because they're not going to buy an airplane that does it or that can do it. So it's going to train you how to flare. Wow. So that's the one for me that I'm like, no. And I for 3 years in Boeing, almost 4. So over 3 years in Boeing, my last stint in Boeing, I was hammering away at the engineers going, you've got to be able to figure out how to make the airplane land like that. So they have the muscle memory, flying the HUD with the power, with all that kind of stuff, and the stick, meatball angle attack to touchdown. And then when they go to the gray airplane, at least they've got that muscle memory that they're doing there. So we'll see how it turns out. So far, it's working out okay for them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. I that was way out of left field, but I had written it down earlier, and I wanted to get back to it before we got too far downrange.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I'm also running, just for you guys, I am basically on a phone low fuel light here, because I've had to come to a place that has so I don't want to get to the point and go whoop, and be gone. I've got 12% of power left here or so. Yeah, there he goes. There I was. Well, there he was. So there he was. I don't know. Right?
There he was, inverted, 50,000 feet, and then his phone dies. What?
What happened?
Fantastic. All right. Yeah. Well,
hopefully this was enough.
Yeah, we're just honored that you joined us again. We're deeply grateful for it. And I want to tell people, go to MikeManazer.com and find some of his books, to include, it looks like you can get a signed copy of Learn How to Lead to Win.
Yes, you can.
So awesome. I will be doing
signed by the author himself. Oh, my God. And there's an audio book spoken by the author himself, so you can hear me tell you stories. And so, go MikeManazer.com. There's a bunch of content on there. All the newsletters are on there, and there's a bunch of good stuff. And we're just trying to make people lead authentically, and be a good dude, and don't be a.
So not only is Nasty a world-class author, leader, and naval aviator, but he may be the only LSO in history that steered an aircraft carrier with his microphone.
That's right.
I love that story. Would you just hit the high points of that real quick? Again?
Yeah. This is back from episode 14, just so people know. Happy birthday, Yogi. Nasty's the guy
Yogi,
who waved them aboard that day.
Yeah, so Yogi stuck out the top of an A6, and the ship was coming out heading downwind, and was doing a 180. It hauled all the way over while Mark Baden, Master, was trying to come in and land, and basically it became, I needed to talk to Master and what he was doing with the airplane with Yogi stuck out the top, and I needed to tell the captain that the winds were fine. He needed to steady up so that Master could land. And so it became just the kind of remote control aircraft carrier, steady up. But it was, it was kind of a combination of, I need to get him aboard as the LSO. The ship's turning. He can't land in a turn. If he can't land in a turn, he's going to wave off, and, bad things are going to happen if he has more than one approach. So I looked over at the flags, standing on the flight deck, waving all by myself. Nobody had shown back up, and I looked at the flags, and when they were just about right, I went, I'll take the wind, Captain, as much crosswind as, the limits were. And this big God voice, Jim Ellis, steady up. And you can hear it on the recording on Yogi's website. And it was pretty cool. So I go down and talk to the LSO school all the time. We're like, he told the captain to steady up. Well, that's what you do as an LSO, is you control airplanes, right?
Take charge.
Take charge. Yeah. And by the way, I just saw your thing go up there. Here's to Bug Roach, right? So
so that was the episode number is wrong on there. That's episode 17 is Here's to Bug Roach.
So all the way back to the beginning, when I disqualled in the A4, this is perfect. When I disqualled in the A4, I meet Bug Roach down in Kingsville. I go be an LSO in the RAG in VF 124. I know Bug Roach, and he's fame and waving. So now I'm going to lead and wave like Bug Roach from the platform, and I recover Yogi and Master using Bug Roach. And that's because I disqualled.
It came full circle right there.
Oh, my God.
Just tied the bow.
Right
I got my hair and my arms are standing up right now.
Me too.
I mean, think about that. Now, for our listeners that are hearing this and really don't know what we're talking about, there was the Bombardier Navigator in A6 had been partially ejected, and half his torso was sticking out the top of the airplane.
Yep.
Highly.
Yeah. If you go to It's on the net. You put A6 partial ejection into Google, it'll take you to Yogi's website, and it's
and our show
cool.
is episode 14. So there us.us/episode/14. They sang your praises. We're like, well, do you know where he is? Nope. And then Curly from another episode reached out. He says, I went to safety school with Nasty. Here's how you get a hold of that guy. And the rest is history.
Here we are.
We had you on 17 and 18. Here's the Bug Roach and best job in the galaxy.
Yep.
So, it's fantastic stuff.
I love how you tied the bow, brother. That was awesome.
And I know. You guys did it.
I had the hair sticking. Still, there's a picture of it right there. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yogi's sitting up there. Ooh.
Yeah, man.
And you're an F-14 LSO. But you were on the platform and nobody else could get there. Is that the story?
Well, he was the CAG LSO, right?
I was the CAG LSO.
Oh, you're the okay. All right.
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln. So CAG LSO. So okay. And like I tell paddles, sometimes when you're CAG LSO, they don't teach you what to do. There's no recovery bulletin for A6 guys stuck out the top.
Not in the NATOPS. And I bet they haven't even put it in there since, I'm guessing. So, yeah, man. And the only way we found that, a guy I went to high school with was an A6BN, and I asked him if he knew about it. He goes, yeah, that was my squadron.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All loops around. Naval aviation is a small community.
It is indeed.
Dude, it is.
It's so cool to be with you guys today. Thanks so much for asking me to come
Thank you for coming back. And Nasty, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who is out there serving on the front lines, particularly those that are in harm's way. You're in our prayers, as are your families. And thank you to your families for sacrificing all that they do, missing birthdays and anniversaries and holidays so you can get out there and do what you do. We're deeply humbled and grateful to you for that.
Ditto. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nasty. Thanks to Sticks in the
just
background.
A minute, Nasty. Yeah, thanks to Sticks and Bago.
Sticks in the back and Bago. It was Sticks today carrying the heavy load. Is Bago here? Thanks, Bago. Sorry, man. Bago. There he is. I see you back there. Yeah, they're back there throwing stuff up on the screen for everybody that's watching live.
Faster than we can think about it.
Yeah. So one of these days you're gonna have to give them a raise, Repeat, because they're working their butt off for us.
I'm gonna double their pay to 0. Hey, thanks also to Dave Hamilton over at backbeatmedia.com, who handles our advertising. They do a great job for us, and he gets us bandwidth through CashFly. So thank you to Backbeat Media, CashFly, and Dave Hamilton.
Yep. We have a merch store in case you need merch. So there I was .us/merch. And, koozies, shirts, ball caps, bikinis. Did I say that we have a bikini?
Coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, bikini. I think Fig's got his on now.
I do. I got the bottoms on. I'm not going to model them for you right now. QR code right on the front where it matters. Yes, sir.
Hey, could you do us, please, a favor? We're trying to get the word out about the show, and it actually helps if you go and give us us.rate and give us a 5-star rating. If you got to give a 3-star rating because the show stinks, write to us, tell us why it stinks, how we can improve, and give that 3 stars to somebody else so that we can maintain that 5-star rating. Please do that. It really does help get the word out about the show. So, gee, I don't know. It seems to me that there's somebody else I'm forgetting, maybe.
Oh, I hear it now. Yes, sir, there it is. That's the sound of the F-16 pilots that make the Air Force sound good. That's the Dos Gringos.
Count 2. Dos Gringos.
Dos,
4 albums, not a bad song in the.
If you're having a bad day, put one of them. And Nasty would really like, I want to land on an aircraft carrier.
Yep. I want to land on a carrier someday before I want to take off from a carrier someday before I die, but I don't want to land.
Yeah. How hard can it be? It's got 4 wires.
Right. Yeah. No crosswind, no flare, just land. It can't be that hard. Oh, well. All right. Oh, and BDSAviationPhotography.com. Badass. Thank you for all the great images you let us use. So
thanks, Badass. Thanks for the merch, by the way. I finally got it from Bill Wilson.
Double L. So, all right, everybody. Until next week, stay safe. Check 6. Learn how to lead to win. MikeManazir.com. MANAZIR. Go get you a copy.
It's authentic leadership, people. Authentic.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Awesome.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down in the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Oh, hold on. It's what fig?
He said it's over.
Now I have to face stupid reality again.
Weird.
Out.